Hey guys, let's start this video with a little bit of an apology.
Sorry, oh I'm sorry, don't hurt me, sorry.
This is my third time filming the Cupra Born, but it's the first time that I've brought it to Auto Social UK. I'm so sorry you guys have been the last to see one of my Cupra Born reviews, but I've got some good news. This is the e-Boost variant and I'm the first person, or the first amongst a few people today, to drive the fastest version of the e-Boost Cupra Born in the UK. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking a walk around, looking at the Cupra Born, telling you what's different from the ID3, and then I'll be telling you what's so special about the e-Boost variant. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Ever since I first set eyes on the Cupra Born, I knew that it was a bit of me. It's just the right amount of chavvy, and I don't want to upset people by that because I don't mean it as a bad thing, I mean it as a compliment. I absolutely love how it has quite outrageous, quite out there styling. Of course, because it is a Cupra, it has that copper detailing on the badge, written across the bonnet and also along the bottom of the splitter. And this is my favourite colour, primer grey. No, it's not really called primer grey, but that's what a lot of people would usually say this colour looks like, but actually I think it looks super smart. It accentuates those copper details, the contrasting gloss as well. You've got a fantastic gloss black diffuser at the bottom here with the grille, with those little details of the triangle Cupra signs, and then you've got gloss black that runs along the bottom of the bonnet as well. I really like the way the bonnet is. It kind of hovers over the headlights to give you a much meaner feel. It looks really aggressive, and despite having the exact same body shape as the ID3, it does quite well to look different. It's also lower as well, so it's 10mm lower at the back and then it's 15mm lower at the front, and that definitely gives it a much more sporty stance. Again, around the side, that body kit continues from the front. You've got these great gloss door sills with the little fin along the bottom there as well to aid your aerodynamics. This is a smart looking car, it can't be denied. Something I do find a little bit strange. This car has been hitting our streets for how long? Few months? Couple of months? And yet, a facelifted version has already been announced. It's not quite being built. You're going to have this one for a little bit longer. But the new version actually changes things like the light signature. So at the moment, the light signature mirrors the Cupra badge. But in the new versions of the Born, it's going to have a new light signature, which I'll enter here. In terms of size, it looks reasonably compact, but it's actually pretty spacious. And if you hear that, that sounds like a Golf. And I mean that because the Cupra Born is actually a very similar size to the Volkswagen Golf, so it would make a great family car. Rear space of the Born is okay. It's not massively impressive. I would have liked just a touch more headspace, but that's because you sit up quite high due to being on top of the battery. But what is good is you don't have any transmission tunnel, so there's loads of space to pop your legs. And I've actually got a load of legroom as well. That's not at all a problem. The only thing I do find back here is materials on the doors are quite cheap. I have got 2 USB-C charge ports, but I haven't got a centre armrest, which feels a bit of a shame. The car that I'm driving today is the V2, version 2. It's around the mid-spec that you get available in the Cupra Borns, and that's where you can get the e-Boost variant. It can go from version 2 to version 3 and across the 2 different battery types as well. The version 2 gets 19-inch wheels as standard, which are pretty big for a mid-spec car. If you step up to the V3, those become 20s, which are massive, and they're quite busy as well. There's a lot going on. I actually personally prefer the smaller ones that you get fit to the V2, which you can actually fit to the V3 as well if you'd like. If you wanted even better road handling, then you can actually get the wider tyres as well, fitted to the e-Boost variants. Another thing that I think is great in the Cupra's styling is these little details of the little triangles, which are so classic to Cupra. Let's see how many we can spot on the Cupra Born. You got some here on the rear quarter. Here they are on the alloy wheels. Here on the doors. You got some here in the lights, in the rear lights as well. And here on the grille. Sometimes cars like the Born can look really aggressive and sporty from the front, and then they'll miss out on the back. But actually, I still think this looks great. I might even think it looks even better. Again, it has those fantastic, almost borderlining chavvy details. Again, please do not take chavvy as an offence. You've got the rear diffuser with the fins pointing out. You've got this mid part here, which is finished in a gloss grey colour. I really like this, but I do prefer the version 3 when it's finished in black. It just looks a bit sleeker along that rear diffuser. Of course, it's great to see that this is a car designed to be electric, and that means that there's no fake tailpipes or any of that nonsense. You've got the rear light bar, which runs all the way along the back, and you've of course got quite a deep spoiler here as well. That copper detailed continued with Cupra spelled out across the tailgate and that fantastic carbon fibre badge. Now pop the badge inwards and you can open the boot. And actually boot space is very good inside the Born. Inside here you'll find just under 300 litres of boot space, which is far better than some of the competitors like the Peugeot 208 or even the Vauxhall Corsa E, much bigger than you'll find in something like the Honda E. It's really quite practical. It's a shame in a car that's this expensive, you don't have an adjustable boot floor, but to be fair, it is still pretty versatile. A big selling point for the Born, just like the ID3, is range. There's 2 battery variants available. There's a 58 kilowatt hour battery and also a 77 kilowatt hour battery. The first will give you around 260 miles. That's a lot more than a lot of the competition in this compact market. However, if you opt for the larger 77 kilowatt hour battery, you're good to go for 310 miles. Seriously impressive. And both variants can have the e-boost. No need to have a physical key in the Cupra Born. As soon as you jump in, it's ready to go, just like the likes of the ID products and also the Polestars. At first you can find this a little bit weird, but once you get used to it, it's nice to know that you can just jump in and out of your car without having to constantly be turning it off and on like you do in some electric cars, because it's hard to tell if they are on or if they're not. The layout is really lovely. I mean, this steering wheel. Is there anyone in the industry that does steering wheels better than Cupra? I don't think so. Leather wrap steering wheel, you've got the copper stitching around the inside, you've got that carbon effect on the centre of the steering wheel, just like you get on the badge. You've got 2 physical drive mode and Cupra buttons. Now these are new to the e-boost, and I mean, I love a steering wheel button. It does feel very Ferrari-esque. It makes it feel really high quality. And that's good, because at least you've got physical buttons here, because you haven't got them here. These are haptic controls, and they really do make using the Cupra Born steering wheel a little bit tricky. But you know what? Once you get used to it, they're actually quite satisfying to use. Other buttons can be found down the side here for your lights. You've got standard indicators, that's all very classic, which is good to see. But the other unconventional thing that you've got is you have the gear lever on the back of the steering wheel, which can take a little bit of time getting used to. The only thing I would find with the Cupra Born is quality in some places does fall a little short, but at least it's much better than the ID3. I mean, you've got a nice kind of textured dashboard with the copper stitching and definitely elevates it above the ID3. Again, you've got that textured detail down the centre console. You've got the nice copper. It is plastic. It's not too offending. It's much better than a gloss black because it doesn't show up marks. You've got the heavy scroller to cover up your cup holders and some additional storage. That all feels very nice. The only offending part is this bit of plastic that runs along the middle of the car. It just cheapens the cabin, but actually when you compare this directly to the Volkswagen products, this feels far better and far nicer to live with. Okay, let's find out what this baby is made of. So let's talk power, because that's what we're all here for. How much quicker does the e-Boost feel and perform than the standard Born? Well, the standard Born gets around 204 brake horsepower. This e-Boost variant makes it up to around 230, and it drops the 0 to 62 time to 6.6 seconds. Doesn't sound all that impressive. I mean, I always set my RBAF as the president, and that's around 6.5 seconds. So it's just a little bit slower than my RBAF, and it's funny because that makes a hell of a lot more noise, and of course this doesn't. But you have to remember that, yes, okay, the 0 to 62 time doesn't really sound all that great. But the low down power when you first hit the accelerator on this car, that is where it really matters. The 0 to 30 time is really, really impressive. Now, what they've done with the e-Boost is they've unlocked a little bit more power. So on the steering wheel, there is a Cupra button. And when you press this, it gives you a boost for up to 30 seconds from the moment you hit the pedal. And then when you hit the pedal, you get all of that instant power from the battery, and my goodness, it is absolutely phenomenal. Other than having that added boost of power, in this car with the same wheels that are fitted to the non-e-Boost variant, the Cupra Born still drives exactly the same, and that's not a bad thing because the Cupra Born handles so sweetly. You can really feel those differences that they've made to the chassis and that they've made to the steering, and it has improved the handling a hell of a lot over the ID3. The back roads of Suffolk is exactly what this car was designed for. Well, I mean, it was designed to be an electric car first and foremost, but second, it was designed to be fun. And they've done that by giving it dynamic chassis as standard. So it really does have the opportunity to stiffen up the suspension, paired together with the fact that it's slightly lower than the ID3 as well. That means it just handles so sweetly. It really sticks to the road. You can also opt to have wider tyres on the Born e-Boost as well if you wanted even more grip. But actually, I think already this car handles so well, and it handles a lot like an ICE car in the way that it hides its weight very well. It's slightly lighter than the ID3, and that's how, even without the e-Boost, even though they have the exact same stats, the Cupra Born does come out on top because it's slightly lighter than the Volkswagen, and you can feel that on the road as well. You wouldn't think that you're lugging around the weight of this car that you actually are. It's a lot of fun. So that's styling, tick. Range, tick. What about charging? Well, charging is pretty competitive. It's not the best in its class, but it's also definitely not the worst. It can accept rates of up to 135 kilowatts. And really, how often can you find a 150 kilowatt charger? So ultimately, you can always be on the road in around 40 minutes. Driving position and visibility is very good. You've got a good seating position, a nice open windscreen. You've also got quite a lot of visibility out of the back as well. This rear window isn't great, but overall it's pretty good, and you get a rear view camera as standard, so I'd have no problem parking it. My only gripe is the seats on this version 2 car, and I can imagine the version 1 is the same. They just don't feel all that high quality. For a car that's set up to be sporty, they do slightly hold you in places, but the velour seats on the version 3 is so much nicer. Plus, it's also a little bit of a shame that these ones aren't electrically adjusted, which in a car that's costing you in excess of £37,000, I really would want electric seats. There is one thing about that power that still disappoints me slightly, and that's that I just think they could have given it more. Now, if you look at the ID4 GTX, that is a massive car, really big, but that does a 0 to 62 time in 6.2 seconds. So a few points of a second quicker than this Born, and it's heavier. I just feel like they could have gone even harder with that power. And also comparing it to petrol cars that we're used to, hot hatches like my Abarth or a Polo GTI, this is still slower from 0 to 62. But meet any of those cars at the traffic lights, and I just don't think they'd expect this. You absolutely leave them in your dust.
3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, 5.8. That was quite a lot quicker. It's definitely quicker than 6.6 for sure.
100%.